The Ulster team is a significant change. Like, it's barely recognisable from last season's team in many aspects, and they performed well last week, and it was like, okay, this is a real thing. Like, but obviously, traditionally over the last 5-6 years, their away form in European competition has been pretty grim. So this is the test. Racing's home form is brilliant at the moment. They're scoring tries, they're throwing the ball around, averaging something like 30 odd points a game at home this season. So it's going to be a long night for Ulster.
This is a proper test. This is a real test as to see where they are. I think if they get out of that group, that is a result for them this season. I just fancy, Racing looked pretty handy last week. They didn't really even have to kick into 4th, 5th gear. They were comfortable. They were cruising.
Yeah.
And Scarlets isn't an easy place to go and get a win. Now Scarlets have a few injuries themselves, particularly at 10. But they will fancy it at home. They have a great record there. Play indoors. You look at that back three. Him off Zebo and Teddy Thomas. You kick loosely to that, and you're in major trouble. That said, I think Leicester weren't great last weekend. Don't get me wrong, but Ulster still had to get it done, and I thought they showed improvements. That's for sure. But I think they're a coming side, and it's going to take a couple of years. It's not going to be. If they do get out of I'd be very impressed if they get out of the pool. Yeah,
having Cooney missing is really disappointing because we want to see
massive loss. Yeah. Massive.
I tell you, I like the look of your man Michael Lowry. He's a good little footballer. I think with the new tackle laws coming in, and we met with Joel Juge last week prior to Europe, and I can't tell you how confusing the whole thing is now about high tackles. And,
even after you met with them?
Well, without speaking out of turn, there's so many different people have different opinions on what happened with that Jamie Roberts and Kino issue. Some people thought it was play on, some thought it was a penalty, some thought it was red card. And now he's been cited.
Yeah.
So, and this is like adjudicators and coaches.
We were chatting about it.
Kino thought he was lucky not to get red.
Right.
And then, so yellow, I think, was the one thing that it wasn't. I thought it was definitely not yellow.
It's either nothing or red.
So
it was. I've seen it. I'd say 100 times now. I haven't a clue what my verdict is.
I think on the basis of the conversation we had last week with Joel Juge that it's a red card.
So if anybody
if
anybody missed it, what happened?
So we talked, and he talked us through what we were trying to look out for in Europe this year and what they're trying to outlaw. So the forearm ball carrier forearm to the face or chin. That's immediate red card if you make contact. High shots of any sort whatsoever. It's going to be punishable by red card.
High shots are over the shoulder. It's like
and it's like any direct contact shoulder to head, immediate red card.
Okay.
Likelihood of a red card slipping up from chest up to head if you make impact. There's a strong So I thought that was an unbelievable opportunity for them to lay down the marker.
I think the killer in that particular incident was that they couldn't find an angle from the
two
other
angles.
side of the field.
The two angles are terrible.
And
but if you're in doubt and you're trying to change the law and you're trying to change habits. That was the perfect opportunity because players are aware of this as well, and until we're going to have a few shocks and this is outrageous, the game's gone soft, and we're going to need a bit of that to change the mentality. And I've come around full circle. I thought it was going soft last year. There was one where Manu Tuilagi got cited on Clute, and if you look back now, he hit him on the chin with a shot, and that's a red card now. And if we do need to preserve the game. And it's going to have to go extreme to be able to come back a little bit.
That's the thing. It is at that point. Like you're constantly seeing stuff about how the legal profession are now getting involved. People are going rightly after a rugby career and saying, "I played with concussion. The club knew I had concussion. Is there any? How liable are they for the fact that I now don't remember where my keys are?" And the legal profession are looking into this. So if you do want to preserve the game, you've got to get out in front of that. Like, we're literally talking about the survival of the sport as something that you will have people doing in 15, 20 years' time if you don't manage it properly.
I agree.
So there should have been a red card in the Kino case then to help that process along.
Well, I think he's going to get off. So they've appealed his 5-week ban. And I think because there's so much confusion around it and because the angles aren't
Conclusive.
His own quote on it, I think, is that it was a decision based on feelings rather than facts.
Well, he's probably right because of the lack of that angle.
Yeah.
No camera on the other side of the field. I couldn't understand it, how they couldn't find, because the referee was saying to the team, "Oh, what other angles have you got for me?" And they just kept showing him those same two, one from the side, one from behind. But the one that you wanted was on the far side,
from behind,
on the blind side of the field, and it would have given and it would have given a real view of where Kino's shoulder was in relation to Jamie Roberts' chin.
I spoke to another referee who was refereeing over the weekend on Sunday night about it to get a sense as to what he thought. And he said that the longer you go with footage, the harder it is not to have something.
Yeah.
So if you call on 5, 6, 7 replays, it's very hard to go, yeah, there's nothing. Let's go back. It's very, very hard. Sorry for slowing the game down for 2.5 minutes there, but we'll just play on, everyone's grand. So that almost encourages, like, it's the old, I better give him a yellow card.
Yeah.
Which for me was the one thing that it definitely wasn't.
It's totally sitting on the fence.
It's a little something. Yeah, which, you know what? I'm not sure myself, so I'll give him a yellow. It's not too bad. It's not going to change the game completely.
Yeah.
But it's for me. It said I'm pretty unsure about that myself.
Another interesting aspect of this game for me is on the back of what happened last week in the Bath Toulouse game. Billy Burns has the opportunity to take centre stage this weekend, and he arrived at Ulster thinking that he was the goal kicker. He's barely had a chance to get the kicking tee in his hand at all. He's going to get an opportunity to play against the side who were in the final last year in that indoor arena, which has got a brilliant atmosphere. It's quite claustrophobic. He pretty much has to nail every kick that comes his way. Like if he leaves at 15 to 18 points off the kicking tee at the weekend, they have a chance of winning the game. If he misses 1 or misses 4 or 5, well, then the Burns name is going to be thrown around for the second week in a row.
I tell you, there's a big responsibility on David Shannon as well. You know, he's been there. He's been in Ulster for a few seasons now. You know, he still looks as though he just came out of school last week. But that's a big cauldron of a place to go and play, and big responsibility on him. So much goes through your halfback pairing, and as you mentioned, Billy Burns. I think the same sort of pressure comes on Dave Shannon to deliver a big performance that. As of yet, I haven't seen it. Yeah. But they like him, and you get your opportunity in a variety of different ways. Cooney's out, there's your chance to shine.
Yeah. Incredibly hard to see them take
anything.
I find it difficult to see anything there.
If they were to get a losing bonus points, it's a massive result.
Yeah.
Like, look at the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very, very callow bench at this level. Like, if they need to hang in there for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tricky for them.
Thanks a million for watching. If you want to subscribe, well, there's the button right there. If you want to see more videos, hit that down there.